Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome to an all-new edition of Concrete Jungle New York Baseball Podcast. Coming to you guys live from the third floor North Park Building, FingerLakes1.com. Beautiful, tropical Seneca Falls, New York. Paul Russo, Kyle Evans, and producer, Mets hater, Nate Sharman. I had to get that in there.
It's just one night.
Whatever. Good Thursday morning, lads, as I said, I suppose. I don't know. The weather's beautiful. It's baseball weather. Everything going good to start the week, through the week, Kyle?
Yeah, everything's going well. I mean, my favorite team's rolling, so couldn't complain.
Everything good for you over there, Nate?
Yep, can't complain.
It's
golf weather.
Just hitting the Mets. It's all good. I'm going to have fun with him with that for a while, I think. I owe him one.
They scored 3 runs in the first inning, and I had over 4.5, and they didn't get there.
Wow. That's on you.
That's gambling.
Yeah. Now he says it that way. Okay. Either way. New York team's still pretty much the hottest teams in baseball. Our local minor league teams doing, pretty well for themselves to start the week as well. So, plenty to get to. Let's jump in and start with the Mets today. I think we started with the Yankees on Monday. So, so start with the Mets today. Off day, obviously, on Monday when we last spoke. 3-game set with the Nationals. Obviously, the third game today. Split so far. I think we were a little bit surprised about how that went. But, hey, not every game, not every series can be Christmas. Tuesday, decent game overall for the boys in Flushing. 4-2 victory over Washington there. Cookie Carrasco picks up his third win on the year. Proves a 3-1, 3.19 ERA. My poor sweet prince, Carl Edwards Jr. got called up to Washington on Monday from Rochester after being Rochester's Player of the Week last week. Picked up the loss. His MLB ERA for the year, even though it's his first appearance, is 27.0. Oh man, but this goes back to kind of obviously, right, different discussion for what we are exactly talking about the Mets, but this was kind of what we actually were hinting at a little bit, Kyle, on Monday about how, this Rochester team's great, but Washington clearly calling some guys up. Now, mind you, do have a couple guys that they did get hurt over the weekend, and this was a corresponding move within that. But, that being said, Carl Edwards Jr. was, like I mentioned, pitcher of the week last week for Rochester, and had been really their anchor in the bullpen all year up to that point. We'll circle back around to that, obviously, when we get to the Red Wings stuff. But Sugar Diaz picked up the save, his 7th of the year. Carrasco went 6 2/3, 7 hits, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts. Shout out Jeff McNeil making his rare appearance on the top performers list, oddly enough, for the year so far. 2 for 3, a double, a walk, and 2 RBIs. And Frankie Lindor with 2 for 5 and a stolen bag. Carrasco, obviously, we're going to touch on this more in the look-ahead stuff here. But he's kind of become, for the Mets, really, we kind of thought maybe the 4 spot. But to me, he's becoming part of what I'd call the 3 horsemen kind of for the Mets so far to start the year.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. And I don't know, I think things would look a lot different if DeGrom was in the rotation to begin with. Does Megill, stay in the rotation? Does Carrasco stay in the rotation? I think with DeGrom on the injured list, it really helped Carrasco kind of move up in the rotation.
Right. You mentioned a good point with DeGrom. we've been getting updates, but not really updates on him at this point. But
It's probably going to be late summer, I would think.
yeah, it became July, and now it's becoming. It looks like sometime in that mid to late August window, which sucks. So I mean, I still think DeGrom's been the greatest pitcher of this generation, and could make the case for best, at least in my lifetime, anyway.
Yeah.
Which I guess will be also your lifetime, since Nate thinks I was born in 1982. But so I should probably preface the jokes here at this point. Nate absolutely sniped me during one of our FL1 radio broadcasts last week, saying I was born in 1980. Which, look, I'm not 42 years old, but just an absolute snipe. And at the time, I do applaud Nate coming from the bushes on that, but
Actually, I had you pegged older as that. I said you played there.
oh,
in
that's true. Yeah,
1980.
played in 1980. Yeah, so
So get the joke right, Paul.
well, I guess that's just my old age and not remembering right coming out. So I'll lay off of you, Nate. I'll lay in the weeds for the time being for the rest of them, but
You won't hear anything from me tonight on the call in Penn I got my shot in last week.
right. I don't trust you. Anyway, back to the baseball games here. Yesterday, not the best game for the Mets or Tylor Megill. Aaron Sanchez picked up the win for Washington. Megill the loss, is second on the year. It was an 8-3 Mets loss. That being said, Alonso had a first inning home run, had a couple RBIs, a couple hits. Nimmo had a double, went 3 for 5. If there's any solace, I guess, in the pitching realm of it yesterday for the Mets, Trevor Williams did really great coming out of the pen for Megill, 3 2/3, a couple hits and 2 strikeouts. He's kind of been the floater, as I call it, kind of what we thought maybe Peterson would be, but he's kind of stepped into this role of long relief, mop-up duty, and not do great out of the gate initially this year, but has kind of turned around when they needed him to lately.
That's got to be their worst loss of the year, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, despite the setback, Megill still has been a really wonderful surprise for them overall this year. I don't think they expected him at this point to be 4-2 on the year. I think the ERA is kind of going back to maybe where a couple people might thought it'd be hanging out. But that being said, he's really been a surprise. And this Mets team, we keep going back to it, and being a month in, it's something I do want to discuss. Today with pretty much all the teams is, how we kind of feel, what we think has been some of the stuff. And obviously Megill has been really the main nice surprise out of this Mets rotation and probably Mets team period. And obviously we talk about Buck and what that can do for a team having a guy like him in the clubhouse and everything like that, but the work he's done kind of with the staffs at this point across the board, having faith in the guys, and that's one of the things that has burned Buck in the past, but the same token is what makes him a really great players manager is faith in a guy like Megill to go out there, continue to do what he's doing despite really his early career struggles as a whole, especially in a situation like this where DeGrom's out and you kind of need next guy up mentality sort of in a way.
Yeah, and even if he didn't have his worst start of the year and give up 8 runs, I mean, the offense scored 3 in the first and then didn't score again. That's kind of a problem, especially consider Washington's pitching has not been very good, at least what I remember.
And look, that being said, not I said it, not every game can be Christmas, right? You're going to have games like this over the course of 162 days where, look, pitching just wasn't there, offense just wasn't there. It is what it is. This is the first loss this year from the Mets where it kind of felt that way. And if that's the case, look, that's fine. It took them, 32 games to get to that point, 31 games to get to that point. If that's the case, fine. I'd take that any day of the week as a fan, as a coach, as a player. It is what it is. I would take it up to that point, And that being said, Alonso, we keep mentioning him, right? But yesterday he obviously had a home run, 2 for 4. That's a good day anyway. Lindor has really come on again. It's nice seeing, right, these guys that we expect to have production come out and do it, especially the fact that you look at last year and the year prior, even though, 2020, we still have to take overall with a grain of salt being only 60 games in the COVID-shortened year. But the fact that they've rebounded, again, this goes back to the staffs, and to me, what's become a very underrated hire because we just don't talk about it enough, especially with the position players, a guy like Eric Chavez, who, look, great player, all-star caliber player, should have been superstar, just got burned by the injury bug as a player too often. But like I said, key third baseman. He was a Gold Glover. I think he was a Silver Slugger a couple different times over, obviously being a hitting coach, but super good third baseman. I mean, at his peak in those mid-2000s, in the mid-aughts, easily top 3 third baseman in the league year in, year out. But having a guy like that who is still relatively fresh out of playing, it's been, I think, 8 years since his last MLB game, but still, there's guys in the league who played with him, has a ton of respect around the league, but has faith in these guys, right, to go out there and do it. And you have Pete Alonso, who's having a nice rebound year. You have Francisco Lindor. I wouldn't say quite rebounded. He came on pretty good late last year, but, kind of going back to that form we saw Francisco Lindor in Cleveland, right? Amplifying what Starling Marte has been able to do and continues to do, right? Amplifying the stuff that Nimmo has done with Nimmo's hot start, and kind of, building these guys up. A guy that we haven't talked a ton about, and it was what I think a lot of people thought was actually their main free agent pickup during the year in the offseason, in Eduardo Escobar. Working with him, getting him back going a little bit here after his, rougher start to the year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. And you mentioned a guy, and I'll turn it over to you with this too, but you look at a guy like James McCann, who we saw what he did with the White Sox, comes to New York, struggled last year, but had a great start to the year. But I know you mentioned before the show, and I'll turn it over to you with this part about a little bit of news with him.
Yeah, I guess he's dealing with wrist soreness, out of the lineup today. I guess it's more like a day-to-day situation, which is probably good for them. But Tomas Nido has actually had some big hits, though, this year in the backup role. But, I just wanted to say that also the coaching staff deserves a lot more credit. Buck Showalter is a very, very good manager. Like you mentioned, Chavez, great hitting coach. Obviously, the players got to go out and perform, but they deserve a lot of credit, too.
Yeah. It's weird because, obviously we'll talk with this part about the Yankees, but I always have a problem with the MLB power rankings when the league does them as a whole, because it's just them trying to grab the headline.
Yep.
But the fact that both New York teams are 2 of the top 3.
They just put out MVP frontrunners and Judge's third.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let me guess who's number 1. Mike Trout?
Yep. And 2 is Jose Ramirez.
I mean, to be fair, Jose probably should be number 1.
They're all close.
If I take my New York bias aside, it probably should be Jose.
They're all close.
Yeah.
But, like you said, they're trying to grab people's attention,
Right.
get people in the comments.
But, look, I mean, like I said, you look at it, the Mets have, falter's the wrong word. Falter makes it sound like they've gone under 500. But they've kind of been at 500-ish ball the past week or so. That being said, I mentioned, right, they're kind of dealing with guys kind of coming in and out of different slots injury-wise, but through it all, I mean, they're still winning. We talk about, right, take 2 of 3. That's the pace they're still on.
Yep. Great day to bounce back today.
Fantastic, yeah. Speaking of today, let's take a look at what they got ahead here in the next day or so. Well, and weekend. I guess that's the so part. Getaway game today, 1:05 on SNY. Taiwan Walker going against Yoan Andon for the Nationals. I think I'd imagine they get this one. I would hope that they get this one. As you mentioned, Nito will probably go be behind the plate for sure. I'll be interested to kind of see a corresponding move there if they do have to call somebody up.
They did activate Jake Reed, the reliever.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure who they sent down. Nagosic, I think. He's got a weird last name. But yeah, he got sent back down.
Interesting. Because we'll touch on obviously the SMets. They've had an interesting couple games that kind of synopsizes their season as a whole. Okay, this weekend for the Mets, head back to Flushing. They are taking on the Seattle Mariners out of the American League West. They're sitting third there with a 14-18 record. Mariners team that, yeah, they're probably the sweetheart darling of the preseason picks, myself included.
They haven't made the playoffs in the longest time, right?
2001.
Yeah, I think that's
The iPod came and went in the time that Seattle.
Yeah, that's a timely stat there, Paul.
Kyle Evans has never seen the Seattle Mariners in the playoffs.
Yep.
Anyway, Friday, 7:10 on SNY. Marco Gonzalez goes for the Mariners. 1-4 on the year, 3.91 ERA for him. Against Mad Max Scherzer, 4-1, 2.92 ERA. Saturday, another 7:10 start. This one's on W Pick, so it's up here. Take your pick of channel 3, 16, 11 if you're on cable.
DirecTV, channel 13 or 14.
Thank you. For the other folks out here, George Kirby, his second big league appearance. He got a first start earlier this week for Seattle. Did really well. So he has no decision, but also no run average there, so which is good for them. Chris Bassett going for the Mets, 4-2, 2.45 ERA, and then on Sunday a 140 start on SNY. Robbie Ray goes for the Mariners, the rating AL Cy Young, 3-3, 4.22 ERA against Cookie Carrasco, as we mentioned, 3-1, 3.19 ERA there. So the weekend, you got your what I call the three horsemen for the Mets at this point to start the year, going with Scherzer, Bassett, and Carrasco. Really going to ask for probably a better three-game series starter set than that, in all honesty. Mariners team, they're a tough team overall to kind of face. I know their offense isn't quite where they want it. Really nowhere's their pitching collectively. But Ty Francis had a hot start to the year for them. This is a team that, like I said, they should be popping off any time now. I mean, Winker has struggled out of the gate after the trade. A little bit of a mini homecoming for catcher Tom Murphy, the pride of Syracuse, for them. So should be interesting. I want to say sweep for the Mets. I don't know, though, but I think they go, at minimum, they take the series 2-1.
All right, well, I have a different opinion on this.
Oh, boy.
They're going to win today. They're going to win that series. I see him winning. I see him losing 2 out of 3.
Wow.
I do.
Really?
They've been around, like you said, a 500 team recently. I just feel like the Mariners are going to get hot.
Okay.
And, yeah, their pitching is not the best, but Robbie Ray can get it done. I see a loss right there on Sunday.
All right.
So we'll see, but obviously it's just a guess, opinion, but
it's an interesting one.
we'll see.
Interesting.
2 out of 3.
All right. Kyle Evans going off the charts on that one. All right, let's transition over to the Bronx, where the Yankees have been playing the past 3 days. So Monday, obviously, had to finish up that series with the Rangers. 1-0 victory.
Boring game.
Yeah, I was about to say. Clay Holmes picked up the win. Usa 4-0. ERA now down to .61 on the year. Been a really fantastic arm out of the pen. Brett Martin, the loss for the Rangers. Chapman picks up his 7th save on the year. That appearance was his first in literally a week that day for Chapman. Your top performers. We're going to start on offense here. Judge went 1 for 3 with a run and a walk. Rizzo 1 for 4, double RBI, obviously in the 8th, and that was big. But the main topic of discussion, Nestor Cortez takes a no-hitter, 7 1/3 deep. He's been a fantastic player since rejoining the Yankees last year. He had 11 strikeouts in addition to obviously the one hit. But more importantly, no walks in that. Had a couple errors out in the field that day. He's been fantastic. And to put it into MLB The Show terms, guy's about to be put as a diamond player. Look, I don't think it's realistic of us to expect Garrett Cole-esque stuff from him. That's not the pitcher he is. But look, he reminds me of a guy in a way, kind of like Mike Mussina, where it's, he's not going to overpower with the fastball. He's going to kill you with the funky stuff, right? For Nestor, it's that cutter, it's the slider, it's the changeup he's kind of brought in, which kind of acts also like a sinker, the way it kind of acts in a way, right? With Mussina, right? It was not the four-seam, but the two-seam action that he had, the changeup, more importantly, that knuckle curve. Maybe Mussina's not even the right player. I mean, Mussina's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if Cortez is a Hall of Famer, but the pride of Hialeah has certainly had quite the 12 months for him, kind of turning his career around, and it's starting to culminate in these quality performances. It's weird calling a one-hitter that he had in a no-hitter through 7 1/3 just a normal quality start.
Yeah, he was literally 5 outs away. He got the first out of the 8th, and then a single just went over the glove of Gleyber Torres, and just a hell of a performance, though. And I honestly did think that, just the way the day was going, I was not going to lie, I thought there would be a no-hitter. The way he was pitching, he gets the first out of the 8th really quick, and he just has a ton of confidence. And I don't know, I honestly did think a no-hitter was coming, so it was kind of disappointing when Eli White, the number 9 hitter, spoils a no-hitter, which kind of sucks even worse as the number 9 hitter. But yeah, just a great performance. He's been pitching really well over the last 2 years. Actually, 3 years ago yesterday, he made his Yankees debut. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy how the years have gone along for him.
Yeah, this was a guy who brought in with the Yankees. Got traded. I believe he was part of the salary dump deal with Seattle a couple of winters ago. Bounced around between Detroit at one point.
Got released by Baltimore?
Yeah, I was going to say he was with Baltimore, but that's where apparently he gets a lot of his motivation from, actually, is the Baltimore release. So, yeah, this is a great start there. So, Yankees take the series from Texas in that. Come back thundering strong with a 2-game sweep of Toronto. Wandy Peralta, who has quietly been really good out of the bullpen for the Yankees, picks up his first win of the year, 1.64 ERA. Jordan Romano gets the loss for Toronto, 1-2, which is surprising. He's their really best arm out of the bullpen, their closer, in fact.
And we actually talked about that. Yeah, they're using him way too much, and finally he collapsed.
Yeah, his ERA now up to 3.29. Severino, no decision, went 4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. And then the power bats were the ones who showed up for the Yankees, really. Stanton had a Stantonian blast going 2 for 4, 3 RBIs and a run.
And John Sterling called it right.
Yes, that's true.
They were no hit through, 5 or 6 innings in this game?
Yeah, and then the offense came alive.
Yep.
Judge also 2 for 5, home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs. So the power bats have been really great. Obviously, you mentioned Judge. We talk about Rizzo a ton. And Stanton, kind of ends up getting put on this back burner to some degree because, I don't know, he's playing great ball. It's weird. I don't know if it's just because he's kind of put in the 5 spot this year right now where it's, tougher to kind of maybe bust out and have those attention-grabbing stuff. But it's great when you see Judge and Stanton because those are the two, right, that we've had now for a number of years, handful of years. And, to me, whenever that tandem's going strong, Yankees are a super tough team to stop at that point.
Yeah, and actually, I know Anthony Rizzo had the game-winning hit on Monday, but actually, I'd have to look up the numbers, but he's 4 for his last 36. He's really cooled off.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Judge and Stanton kind of carrying the load. Even Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is 0 for his last 15. Mm-hmm. you just when that happens, you just have to have guys that get hot and step up and carry the team, and that's what Judge and Stanton are doing.
And then yesterday, a 5-3 Yankee win. Toronto jumped early, but the Yankees did a nice job, more or less really chipping away throughout the whole game to some way, shape, or form. Tyone gets the win, moves to 3-1 on the year, 2.93 ERA. Jose Barrios gets the loss for Toronto. Rough.
He's been bad.
Really stretched since he got traded over to Toronto. He's 2-2 now on the year, 5.82 ERA. Chapman, 8th save on the year. Tyone went 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Gleyber Torres, Gleyber Day indeed, 2 for 4 home run, 5 RBIs and a run. LeMahieu had a double and another hit and 2 runs there. Gleyber hit that 3-run homer. Obviously, gave the Yankees the lead, and they statistically in the scoring column didn't look back at that point.
I wonder what Chris Woodward was thinking about that porch shot, just into the first row over the right field wall.
He's got bigger fish to fry and things to worry about in Dallas.
And by the way, Chapman allowed his first run of the year. He's actually been really good until up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been used a ton either the past week or so. So obviously, we mentioned that, but yeah, all good things come to an end. It's always a circling back to a podcast title, but yeah, the Yankees are off to a pretty historic clip overall.
Yeah, just the second time they've been 22-8 since 2003.
Yeah. So, look, this is a team that, after the first really couple series of the year, first 10 days, we kind of thought was just kind of dead in the water, the way they were kind of playing, the way they were acting, and they've turned it around. I mentioned a few podcasts ago, I don't think it's as much on the coaching staff and the front office as it is players. This has turned out to be, at least cohesively as a group, a really fun group to play with and play together with. It's weird. It always feels like Donaldson's kind of the outsider in this, but the way he kind of stepped up a little bit throughout the past couple of series, standing up for his teammates and stuff like that has been really fantastic to see.
Yeah, and I wanted to throw out another point. Jack Curry on the Yes Network postgame show brought up a really good point. This is such a good start because if the Yankees were to go 500 the rest of the way, they would still finish with 89 wins.
All right.
That is insane. So that's why a good start is so good because I mean they're not. Let's be real. They're not going to finish 500 the rest of the way.
No.
So boom.
I would hope
they're
not.
just like that. They're over a 90-win team.
Right.
So this is why this start is such a big deal, and that's why a lot of teams, you want to get off on a good start. And a lot of people think that, it's just April, it's just May. Like, no, these games matter. So, yeah, really good start for the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that, like I said, we were kind of wondering about the Cole situation. And obviously, he's turned around the past few starts. And, I think it can't be stressed enough how good having quality starts out of a guy like Montgomery or Cortez go. When your de facto 4 and 5 guys are doing that for you, putting you in spots where, up until a few years ago, I think this is still the mantra to a degree, right? Your 5th guy, and the best example I've always thought of this is I'm really pulling into the date book on this, was a guy like in MVP Baseball 2005. I always draft a guy by the name of Omar Dahl. All right? Your fifth guy in the rotation, typically a fairly soft thrower, crafty, ERA somewhere in the 4 range, but kept you in ball games through 5-6 innings to get to the bullpen. And Jomo and Cortez have been above and beyond that.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in years that we can say that we feel really confident giving the ball to either of the 5 starters. And I also think people are forgetting that Domingo Germán is eligible to return in June.
Yeah.
So, no, but that's the thing. Like, there's depth. There's more pieces if needed.
True.
I just think they're in a really good spot, and their bullpen is outstanding. And if you combine that with, the offense when they're hot, like, they're unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a quiet week for Michael King. We haven't talked about Michael King at all.
Yeah.
And he was the main bright spot out of the bullpen there for a minute.
Yep.
Looking ahead for the Yankees, 4 games set in the Windy City. They play the Chicago White Sox today through Sunday. White Sox 15-14, second in the AL Central. Again, a team that we all thought would be doing a little bit better than they are. But how much of that is on certain players, I don't know. And the perfect example of this is tonight's matchup, pitching-wise, for example, 8-10 start on, yes, Luis Gil.
Yep, perfect.
Gets his first appearance on the year for the Yankees. He's been down in Scranton. He'll be going up against Dylan Cease, 3-1, 2.38 ERA. This is what I mean, and we'll get to the other pitchers here in the other matchups. Tomorrow night, Friday, 8-10 start. Kyle Evans, how you feeling?
Unbelievable. Every Friday night.
Amazon Prime Video. Garrett Cole going against Vince Velasquez, 2-2 for Vince, 3.97 ERA. Don't worry, back on Saturday night, 7-10 start.
Thank God.
Jordan Montgomery goes against Dallas Keuchel, 2-3 on the year, a 6.86 ERA. And then on Sunday, 2-10 start. Also on Nasty Nestor goes against Michael Kopech, who's just coming back off the IL, 0-0, 0.93 ERA. The White Sox have been one of the more utterly confusing teams in the AL, to be honest. They have everything there that they should really be, in theory, the best team in the AL, to be completely honest. I know injuries have kind of hampered them offensively.
And Liam Hendricks.
Exactly. That being said, the pitching has not been there for them the way it's supposed to be. Cease has been the only one out of the starters who's been consistently good. And that's not necessarily a surprise, right? But Giolito's struggled. Lance Lynn pitched one game and got hurt. Since then, they brought in Vince Velasquez. He's not been. I feel bad for Vince because he gets a bad rap, even though he's a really good pitcher. But he's just not one of the power guys. And when the offense does not show up when he's on the bump, he's in trouble. And that's the case that's kind of been there. And then Dallas Keuchel is just
doesn't have it anymore.
He's gone. Yeah, I mean it. So the White Sox know what they have to do probably at the deadline to kind of go and do it. And this is a case where I had a problem with it when they did the hire 2 off seasons ago. I do not think Tony La Russa meshes well with this team. And
the guy's an idiot.
Look, I know this is a New York baseball podcast, right? But we have to discuss obviously the opponents that these teams face a little bit, and it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit for the White Sox.
Yeah, I really don't even know what to expect with this series. Mm-hmm. Like, what White Sox team are the Yankees going to be facing?
Right.
And how's the pitching going to do?
I feel like by process of elimination, the Yankees are going to get this series 3-1 only because nobody will show up for Jordan Montgomery again. Realistically, I do think they go 3-1.
I guess a split wouldn't be bad.
Yeah,
I mean they've been rolling.
They could go 2-2. I realistically see 3-1. Honestly, I think the loss might come tonight. I mean, I think people don't get just how good Dylan Cease is.
Yeah, and I don't know what we're gonna get from Luis Gil. So, first MLB road start ever for Gil.
Really?
They are all home games last year.
Okay. So. But yeah, like I said, I don't think the grand scheme of people just know how good Dylan Cease is. This is a guy who, I'm wearing the hat, oddly enough, a pitching ninja. Dylan Cease was just out with him. Dylan Cease has a number of pitches that just have an insane amount of run on them, and he throws hard. He's phenomenal. He's just one of my favorite players to just watch in the MLB period. So I bet you the loss would come tonight, but they get the other 3.
Hopefully you're wrong, though.
Right. Well, obviously. Yeah. Obviously, we hope every team that we discuss wins every game. That's just not the case. Yep. All right, let's hop on over before we get out here and discuss our minor league squads. The best team still in the International League East. Not the best team in AAA, though, but they're getting there. They're frighteningly close at this point.
Someday.
The Rochester Red Wings, 20-12 now officially on the year. They take the first 2 against the WooSox yesterday and Tuesday. Tuesday, big win, 8-2. Jackson Tetro picked up his second win on the year. Kyle Seabold, the loss for Worcester. Just a really great offensive game collectively for the Red Wings there. Stevenson went 2 for 3, double RBI, stolen base. Luis Garcia, I feel like probably the most consistent name we've talked about all year, period,
he's
on
a
this
hitting
podcast.
machine.
Yeah, 2 for 5, a triple, and a home run with 3 RBIs there. Jake Knoll had a home run. Lucius Fox, who got sent down late last week, so has yet to pick up a hit at AAA this year, but does have a couple stolen bases, and 2 of them did come in that Tuesday game.
It'll happen tonight.
Yeah.
That's 4 straight for the Red Wings, 7 of 8.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Because yesterday on Wednesday, they were down 2-0 to the WooSox going into the second out, or the last out of the game for them, or what would have been the last out of the game for them. But big inning as Lucius Fox, Cole Freeman pick up 2 hits with 2 outs in the 9th. And then Stevenson, a 2 RBI double, and then Garcia singled in Stevenson. Great offensive performance there, and then Jordan Weems picked up the save. Tyler Clippard picked up the win because Kate Valley goes 5 1/3, gave up 2 earned, 6 strikeouts. But more importantly, after struggling immediately out of the gate with Rochester, picked up another really great quality start. He's the Nationals' top prospect. I think the sticker shock of going back to the minors to start the year anyway for him probably got in his head a little bit, but he has really just done a fantastic job out of the past few weeks to get himself right. And we went to that game obviously last Friday, me and Nate, and he had a rough couple innings out of the gate, but settled in and did really well, and is actually what kept probably Rochester within earshot to have an opportunity to win that game Friday, and did the same thing here yesterday. It's just a matter of time before the offense kind of shows up for them when they need them to, but this Rochester team, they're a fun team to watch, but again, to kind of loop back to the Carl Edwards point from when we were discussing the Mets series against Washington, now you're seeing Washington kind of pull guys and send guys, and this is where things kind of get jumbled up that can kind of ruin a nucleus of a team like that.
Yeah, I wonder when Tyler Clippard's headed up to Washington. Probably could happen.
Yeah, that's true. Or Weems. I mean, Weems has become a very good spot
And then,
as well.
and then just like that, it kind of destroys their bullpen. I mean, those are the most 3 reliable relievers they've had.
True.
So,
yeah. Looking ahead in the rest of the week, Logan Verrett gets to start tonight for Washington, for Rochester. He's 0-2 on the year, a 6.94 ERA. That's a 6:45 start tonight. He faces Thomas Pannoni for the WooSox. Friday, tomorrow at 6:45, Sterling Sharp for Washington. I did it again for Rochester. He's 1-0 on the year, 5.06 ERA. Against to be announced. Then Saturday and Sunday to be announced across the board there, but a 4:05 start on Saturday and a 1:05 start on Sunday for the Red Wings. For the Syracuse Mets, they're 11-20, still tied for last in the International League East. But they've split the 2 games against Scranton, the other basement team with them currently. Tuesday, a 2-0 victory for the Rail Riders. Shelby Miller picked up the win. Yenzi Diaz, the loss for Syracuse. Thomas Apucky went 4 innings, 3 hits, 9 Ks, and a no decision. Probably his best start all year, to be completely honest with you. Collectively, just the offense just did not show up for him when he was out there. Pitch count went skyrocketed, obviously, with that. Nick Plummer, Daniel Palka, Patrick Mazika, and I apologize to this individual. I'm going to mispronounce his name more than likely, but Gosuke Kato picked up a hit. They all picked up a hit apiece there. I hope I pronounced it right. I apologize if you're listening, or to whoever's listening.
or if he's listening.
Yes, I did. So that being said, they turned around and yesterday picked up an 8-2 win over the Rail Riders. The SMets did. Jose Rodriguez picked up the win. Matt Crook the loss. Colin Holderman the save. I mentioned Holderman on Monday. He's kind of secured that closing spot for the SMets. Has done really well in the appearances that they've had him out there. He was out there for a long time with that game to get in. I believe it was actually 8-6. I think I miswrote that. So either way, Nick Plummer, come on, really fantastic since getting sent to Syracuse. He's 3 for 5 yesterday, a double, home run, 5 RBIs and a stolen base. Not bad. Triple away from the cycle there. Mark Ventos. He's the catcher. I was kind of wondering, do the Mets call him off if McCann gets on the IL? Obviously, we talk about the SMets, not great. Binghamton, not great behind him. But Ventos has come on really nicely as of late. He went 3 for 5, a couple solo shots yesterday for him. Quinn Brody, 2 for 4, a double, and a stolen bag. For the SMets, it's just kind of the same thing we talk about, when the pitching shows up, the offense doesn't. When the pitching doesn't show up, the offense does. It's a tough spot for him, and it's going to be probably a continuing struggle all year for him to some degree.
Yeah, and we can't really kind of get a read on this series because Scranton's just as bad as them. So, hopefully they can win the series, but I don't really think we can tell much from this series because Scranton's just been awful.
To that end, Syracuse does not have any projected starters the rest of the week. So we do know who they will be facing, though, for the most part here. Manny Bonelos will pitch for Scranton tonight. It's a 6:35 start. Tomorrow night, Friday, also a 6:35 start. Clark Schmidt goes for Scranton. On Saturday, 4:05, Hayden Wesneski pitches for Scranton. And on Sunday at 1:05, J.P. Sears will be pitching for Scranton. So they're going to have their hands full. They're all decent enough pitchers that will give an offense fits. Obviously, Schmidt and Sears have pitched in the big leagues to some degree this year already. So tough spot for the SMets more than likely here.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think about this series because, like I said, they're both bad. Maybe a split.
It's entirely possible. I'm with it. 500 ball. They both come back Monday and they're both tied for 9th.
Yep.
All right, that wraps up the podcast for today. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go ahead, Nate.
I do have one thing. Kyle Evans on Monday took a shot across the bow against my Buccos.
Oh.
And look what they did the last few days, taking a series from the best record team in baseball. So
Credit to them.
So you lose to the Reds, lose to the worst team, and then take the best team in baseball. So I guess that's just baseball, especially this early in the season.
Best sport. Rips your heart out.
Yeah, how about that no-hitter?
Yeah.
The other night.
Yeah, Reed Dittmers. I was watching the end of that game.
Just special moments. A rookie throwing a no-hitter. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was pretty wild, too, because obviously it was a blowout, and then you had Anthony Rendon, who hit a left-handed home run off Brett Phillips.
Such a fun game.
I had Angels money line, so I'll take it.
And a Christian Yelich cycle.
Yesterday. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good week for baseball.
Yeah. Hopefully it's an even better weekend. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll catch everybody back here on Monday. Catch up anytime visually. Watch on YouTube here. If not, you can catch up and listen, whether it's YouTube or on Anchor and Spotify. Hopefully get on a couple other major podcast platforms. But until Monday, Ben Concrete Jungle, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you then.